This is Kevin C. Mason from Jack Monkey Games, and you're listening to the Starfall Actual Play podcast. I have a couple things to apologize for. One, it took so long for us to publish this. Ran into a couple technical problems, and life kept on getting in the way. Well, one of the technical problems was the fact that a key character by the... Well, we're going to have a contest about naming this guy. Well, let's just say the audio was damaged. I'm thinking that someone bumped the recording device during this time, and it was not savable. I could not save it. And it was a key character. This is a NPC character that is part of the party now. One of the players had played the pet card. It's a roll versus roll card for pet, and they wanted a pet. And I'm one of these yes and GMs, so I gave them something. And here comes the other mistake. There was alcohol involved. It was 3 o'clock. It was late. It was late. There was alcohol, and I said Turbo Weasel. Turbo, go away. Turbo, I wasn't calling you. No, you're not an announcer. You don't even speak English. English. Ancient dialect. No, not like that. It's... Never mind. Go, shoot, go. Are you sure your heart's not made of copper or something? Get out of here. Go, shoot. So, turbo weasels, yeah, they're... Let's just say that they're extremely powerful. And I'm not going to say why. But it was one of those things, I said it out loud, and then I regretted it instantly. But it was too late. The player, she looked at it, went Turbo Weasel, and just did this squee noise that meant that she really liked the concept of it. And it was too late. Well, so, let me give you the description of a turbo. No, go, shoot. A turbo weasel is a cybernetic weasel. And they have these 4 little drone-type propellers that come out. And they can fly. So you have a flying weasel. And they're cybernetic, so they've got these little armor plates. And they have a particular purpose that will become apparent later. So, I apologize. No official introduction of Turbo. Get out of here. Yes. And thank you, Mike Riggs, for this inspiration. Turbo, shoot. Yeah. So, Mike Riggs, I blame you for the whole co-host concept. Yeah. So, on with the show, and enjoy Norkek and Hedda.
So, let me get this straight. The female of the human species is the one without the bumps on their chest.
No. Those are the males. But sometimes the females have smaller bumps, and some not at all.
So, what are the bumps for?
They're mammals.
No. Really, you're scrapping with me.
I'm not scrapping with you at all. Really, they're all mammals, the entire species.
So wait, why don't the males have feeding glands?
Evolution sometimes makes inefficient mistakes.
Wait, so Tom took me to a dance club to look at feeders? That's just odd, being that Tom's full grown. Because he was eating chips and beer, why was he looking hungry?
He was looking for a mate. Or practicing looking for a mate.
He took me to a breeding den? Wait, does that mean I'm a member of the family now? Should I have brought a gift?
No. It's a place where the females get paid to do the mating dance. No actual breeding goes on there.
Hold on. Why are the females doing the mating dance? Kinda sounds backwards to me. Doesn't the males of Elome do the dancing?
Why, yes, we do. Working on some new moves myself. As for the humans, not sure, but some males do dance, and they are highly prized by the females. Maybe they're designated breeders or a higher class.
Thank God, here I was thinking Tom took me to an interpretive dance show. I was confused in the meaning of all of it.
Welcome to Zapper Burger. Can I take your order? Yes, I want a pack of mangoes, 3 rats, and a cola. You want anything? How do you want the rats? Live and slightly stunned. Oh, and some salt.
Oh, just a big zapper and some fries. Oh, and a kid's meal. It's my turn to feed the broodling.
Is that for a boy or a girl?
I'm totally unqualified to answer this. Does it matter? Glippian don't have genders.
No, just reach into the bag and throw in the first toy you grab. Humans are very attached to their gender roles. They get confused beyond 2 choices they think they have.
The 3 seconds of pure darkness that happens between closing the dome of my Grix power armor and the initializing of their 360-degree heads-up display, HUD in grunt speak, always brings me to the edge of a full-on panic attack. I see perfectly well in natural darkness, but the closed system pure absence of all light, it is literally hair-raising. On that day, I took a steady breath as the HUD flickered to life. But for the complete absence of scent or air current across my fur, the full Vistage image and surround sound might have let me forget that I was entombed in tons of steel, vibro, and plastic. The HUD aspect ratio is never quite right, though. This makes fine manipulation of the arms awkward at best, but then nobody climbs into a Grix because they want to tie a child's shoes. This metal beast is for one thing and one thing only: direct physical combat versus other PAs, power armors. Sure, we have heavy ranged weapons, but that's because some of the smaller power armors are fast enough to keep out of our grasp. But even then, we Grix grunts occasionally act as heavy weapon platforms for places conventional aircraft can't reach.
"Ready for the reaction test,"
said Carrick in our native Felinus. Even through the videocom projection, I could see he had been working extra hours again. It was evident in his whiskers. Testing arm actuators. Hey, Carrick, lick your face, mate. You look like a stray. I was only half joking.
"Ha ha ha, don't let the humans hear you say that word. They get nervous when we use it."
He made sure to speak in Confederation Common so the other techs could understand. What word? Lick? I teased back in Felinus as I moved my arms in perfect unison with the flexing of the bulky Grix appendages.
"Remember, this is a Grix and calibrate for humans. It's not as agile as us, so no acrobatics. Unlike you, it will not always land on its feet," he warned.
Don't worry, Carrick. I'm feeling apish today. I said this knowing exactly what would happen next. Cut the slurs, you. This is an open channel, commanded the officer who was listening into our conversation. It seems interesting because somehow they only get upset when the racial slurs are about humans. Missile systems? Check. Machine gun? Check. Booster jets? Check. Targeting system? Check. Ready to go. Copy that. The Grix became a responsive, if clumsy, extension of my body. I lumbered to the weapons rack where we keep the optional loadout weapons. These allow us to exponentially play to our strengths. They are too big for even the largest human to carry, let alone operate, without the assist of Grix hydraulics. Normally, I would have picked the Naginata or Nagamaki, and maybe one of the ranged weapons. But that day I was feeling like crushing some heads. The eye-level glint of a pyramid-shaped spike the size of a human fist caught my attention, and I reached for the Tetsubo. The Grix is just shy of 5 meters tall. The Tetsubo is a 3.5-meter club with solid steel casing, a lead core to add to its mass, and a spiral of spikes at the top half-meter. Basically, it's a barbed steel girder with a handle.
"My, you are feeling apish today,"
said Kuruk over the comm. "Hey, you, I said no slurs," repeated the commander. "It's all good, Chief. Loosen up, sir," The surround sound provided a directional orientation for the new voice on the comm. It was coming up from my 7 to stand on my left shoulder. The second Grix picked up the Naginata and tested it for weight. My HUD display automatically provided an analysis of its origins and current condition, pilot rank, identity, and battalion assignment. Command Sergeant Major Carol Jihad, Interstellar Grix Ground Battalion, also known as Moma Bear of the Zoo Troops. Her Grix was scarred to hell and back. She insists that the post-battle retrofits only repair the tech, never the cosmetic damage. Like the scars on her face and body, every Mar is a story and a warning. Patched bullet hole from the battle with pirates near Warmed, sword gash from tangling with churchy paladins, and numerous almost incalculable dents and scratches from who knows where. The only exception to this rule is the always fresh icon of a rampant bear with 2 cubs at her feet emblazoned on her back and breastplate. Sergeant Jod is tough. She has been in so many battles that the brass has started saluting her, mostly because many of them would not have lived long enough to become brass had it not been for Mama. She is probably one of the best unit commanders in the entire history of Confederate mechantry units. Unarguably, she is the best still alive. She has refused retirement twice and declined promotion to brass so many times they've just stopped offering. She will be the first to tell you. Her place is with her cubs. No nonsense, demanding, unrelenting, and with a heart of gold. She takes care of her troops. All of them. Human and non-human alike. She has the only integrated mechantry battalion in the Confed Defense Force. She don't care if you are skin, fur, or flipper. Don't disappoint. Don't talk back. Do exactly what Mama says, and you will live. And never, ever scrup with her cubs. And the moment you climb into one of these mechanical monsters, you are Mama's cub. I need you alert today. You napped? She asked, referring to the felinus sleep cycle. If it was any other human, I might have been offended. But from her, it was the same as asking if I'd charged my laser rifle. The comlink displayed her face in my HUD. Her silver-beaded mohawk hid a few scars. Her smile was kind, caring, and honest. This would be the last time today that her face would not be in a snarl. Yes, Mama, all rested, I said with enthusiasm. She had refused the honorifics of Sir, Ma'am, Commander, Sergeant, and Boss. The brass was not happy with it, but overlooked the break in tradition. Partly this is because Mama is so effective. Partly because no few of them outright feared her. But for at least 10% of them, well, they had served under her at some point. Once a cub, always a cub. Good. We will need you on your toes. Churchies is on the menu. Paladins is the prey. Her tone was a bit cold, not towards me, but to the concept of what was to come. Paladins. I pointed at the Tetsubo. Do we have anything bigger? I was half joking, but mostly trying to hide my fear. Paladins are the elite power armor force that the Order of the Ancient Light uses to enforce their political and, they claim, spiritual will on high-profile targets. Hours of vid report trainings on them have done nothing to desensitize my fear. It's not a phobia, mind you. Phobias are irrational fears. Being terrified of paladins, well, that's just perfectly normal. The Order of Ancient Light has access to some really old tech that makes their power armor beyond anything we have. And that's not the scary part. They are well-trained, efficient, and have a fanatic's ruthless disregard for self-preservation. Even on a level playing field, we would have a hard time beating them, but with their crazy tech advantage, we barely have a chance. Mama Bear's face changed from caring to concern. It'll be okay. Just remember your training. Stick together, and remember you are in a Grix, not a Tengu. You can't expect it to land on its feet. She was half reassuring me and half scolding me. There was this time in training when I landed on my back, and my Grix required repair. Power armor, even models as graceful as the quicker and more agile Tengu, well, they're designed for human physiology. More than once, I've sent a suit to the shop just by doing what comes natural to me. I guess it's the trade-off for resilience and power. We made our selections. We collected our unit, and we were off. The transport landed us on Warzod only long enough to let us jump out. The mountain air looked amazing, and I was sad that I could not scent it through the gricks. Taking in the lush canopy, I told myself that once we freed Warzod from the church, I might have to come back and spend some vacation time here. Our unit was made of 3 grixes and 2 tengu. While tengu are faster and more maneuverable, they can't take punishment or wield heavy, like ship-level heavy, weapons like their bigger cousins. I put the feet of my metal monster on the ground and immediately regretted not picking the tengu. I'd assumed we'd be deployed in one of the 2 developed cities, the Starport or Agricultural Trade Post. I was expecting to be on Plasticrete or Bulkheads. Instead, we were dropped uphill from the ground transway that runs between the urban hubs. I had not anticipated a fight on soft biological terrain. My body's natural instinct to hunt ran through me. My species had evolved in just such an environment, moving with stealth between trees and rocks, alternating between bipedal and quadrupedal strides, with every footstep silent and secure. But the Grix was not built for this. Within a minute of landing, my balance alert sounded, and I had to adjust my stance. This sent rocks rolling down the hill and crashing into some trees below, and I felt like a clumsy kitten. We marched for about 20 minutes in a formation designed to give us an advantage in case we stumbled across resistance. We didn't. Target acquired. Highlighting on your HUDs now, reported our Tengu scout, who I envied at the moment. The target consisted of 2 PA, power armor units, a ground craft, and a crew who were assembling an anti-space platform. Thankfully, the PA units were not paladins. These were the less expensive, more expendable, specifically designed by units like ourselves. Grix grunts aren't respected enough by churchies to raid a paladin, I guess. I was okay with that. Instead, these units are deployed to be deadly in ranged combat. They swat us away from a distance like an insect. The Order's arrogance defines its every manifestation, even military strategy. Thing is, these units were no match for a Grix once metal hits metal. We just had to get close enough. Moma Bear started weaving her magic through the secure comms, whispering out of habit and forgetting that the armors are soundproof. Conrad, prepare to jam their comms and try to knock out the sensors in my command. Lila, sneak over to the north side to create a distraction. Find good cover, mind you. Once that noise starts, do not engage. You go to ground or they will rip you to shreds with those cannons. We need you alive. Kakasha, you are on anti-aircraft. We don't want any uninvited guests. Muir, you are with me. We hit the PAs from the south. 1 strike, 1 kill. All clear? Yes, mama, we all said in unison. Minutes later, Leia's Tengu popped up from the north just behind a boulder. She opened fire on the PA units, knocking one back. Her volley had more to do with getting the pilot's attention than taking it out. She promptly ducked out of sight. I hoped that the boulders were thick enough for the beating that would follow. And sure enough, the beating did follow, as both units opened fire at the space where Layla once stood. Now, Mama ordered. What the Grix lacks in grace, it does make up for in sheer bulk and power. I hit a few trees on the way, knocking them over or splintering them where they stood. I only noticed because I had to adjust my stride to stay on pace. We had to cover a lot of ground before the 2 PA units realized Layla was a distraction. If they turned around before we engaged, both Mama Bear and I would be dead. Lucky for us, they were focused on obliterating Lay's cover and were busy wasting their ammo on a boulder she had already abandoned. By the time they had disintegrated the stone, lit up the surrounding vegetation, and turned away in smug satisfaction, it was too late. A tetsubo is a brute's weapon. There's no grace, no refinement, just iron-encased anger on steroids. I started to swing the club upward, targeting the center mass of the closest PA unit. As I reached the halfway point of my swing, I ordered the Grix actuators to supercharge. The power provided is a calculated risk. It adds to the momentum and increases impact exponentially, but it also commits me to my swing. Too much mass inertia to adjust. If I miss, I have to either release the tetsubo or allow myself to be carried with it. Even if I hit the target, it'll take me a second or two to right myself after the impact. But I took the risk because Mama had ordered. 1 strike, 1 kill. And I am a good and obedient cub. Wham! The hateful iron club struck true. The metal human lifted into the air with a newly concave backplate. The impact must have deafened them, because my ears were ringing and I was not the one inside the bell tower. Sure enough, I was wobbly after the impact, my balance alert buzzing in the HUD. I adjusted and turned to see the business end of an anti-armor cannon aimed by the second unit. I have no clue where the first unit landed. I had braced myself for oblivion when Moma Bear intervened, pouncing on the second unit like an angry grizzly. She pushed its head into the dirt and began pounding on the cockpit and ripping parts from it until it simply stopped functioning. She stood up and beat its cockpit with the newly detached robotic arm a few more times, just for good measure. Then she turned to the ground crew and she literally roared at them through her comms loudspeaker as she raised the severed arm over her head like a trophy. To a person, they ran into the cover of the jungle. To a person, they ran into the cover of jungle. I swear I could hear her humming an ancient human lullaby under her breath on the comms as she dropped the arm to the ground, sauntered over to the weapons platform, and unceremoniously flipped it onto its roof. By this time, the techs and guards had found their faith once more and were emerging to engage on foot. The ensuing melee could only be described as a rabid, enraged gorilla in a henhouse. Their small arms were totally useless on us. Okay, cubs, good work. Let's get... She was interrupted by the jamming of our comms. We could not alert the rest of the units and could expect no reinforcements unless they disobeyed Mama's prior orders. And landing behind Mama, slowly, silently, 3 paladins. The name Paladin is descriptive. The units are too tiny to truly qualify as PAs. They are more an extension of the physical body of their occupants. And they're tiny by comparison to a Grix. But size does not matter when you have old tech power. Like a virus, these things are tiny, but deadly. Their gold-plated armor, its lines and engravings, is designed to both function and dazzle. It is mortal beauty like transcendent beings of death. If I did not know how much the church hates non-humans, I'd almost believe these things were designed for a Felinus. They carried rifles, or 2 of them carried rifles, and I couldn't identify them. They had what looked like shields that were straight out of the most ancient pre-crash anthrolit histories. One carried what looked like some kind of sword on her back, and yes, in this armor, gender was obvious. The visage was dramatic to the point of near caricature, and I would have been comedic if not for the accompanying reputation. I opened fire with my machine gun, sending a barrage of armor-piercing bullets at the one in the middle. She stepped forward, into the barrage, and raised her shield. What happened next is something that still astonishes me. The bullets just never reached her. They ricocheted away from her in a semi-geometric pattern reminiscent of a stained glass window. Each panel of the shield remained clear and translucent until it was stuck by a bullet. This was a weapon of legends. One of my target's companions fired at Mama, disarming her Grix. Literally. The robotic arm, still holding the Naginata, was severed clear off. Mama was knocked back into the flipped ground vehicle. I had no chance to check on her condition. My focus remained on the paladins, but my fear for her enraged me. I charged the female, swinging my Tetsubo in a wide arc. I knew I was going to die, but I would damn well take at least one of them with me. A death that resulted in one less paladin was an honorable end for a hunter. Shield or no shield, this was gonna hurt, but they were too fast. I felt like a bear swatting at bees. They were just too fast. Swing after swing, they would just gracefully jump backwards, slightly out of my weapon's reach. I could not help feel like I was the prey, being toyed with by bored and superior predators. I was beyond the point of frustration when they just stopped playing. Adopting an offensive tactic, every time I would swing at one, the other would attack me from behind. Instinctively, I dropped to all fours, a martial artist's stance used by my species. The metal beast faltered in the stance, unable to accommodate my fighting style. Realizing my mistake, I tried to stand back up, and feat that should have been easy for me, but was almost impossible for my metal exoframe. I was struck 2 more times before I was able to right myself. My systems had registered catastrophic failure in the main core. I was losing power. Eventually, my Grix fell back on the ground, face down. I was like a defeated boxer, unable to even roll over. I was going to die. I sat in this metal can that would soon become my coffin. My sensors were still working, though, so I would at least face death with my eyes open. Mama, however, had recovered. The paladins had counted her out, always a mistake, and focused fully on me. They never saw it coming. Anti-grav enhanced dodging and force shields only work if you know the attack is coming. Mama had one Grix arm remaining, and a ground vehicle was conveniently at hand. She threw the ATV at the male paladin farthest from me. The impact of the truck knocked him down the hill and onto the road below. The other two heard and saw the impact but had no idea about its origins. A passing white passenger transport, more suited for city travel than cross-trans, was almost taken out by the tumbling mass of paladin, ground vehicle, and anti-spacecraft platform. In hindsight, I wish I could have seen their faces. In any event, without its force shield, paladin armor is little more than a human with shiny exoskeleton jewelry. It's not designed to handle that kind of punishment without force field. Parts of it were scattered across the road like socks in a teenager's dorm. Mama was swaying where she stood. Her Grix was missing an arm and part of the associated breastplate and torso. Sparks and smoke were flying out of the machine's twisted mass of steel, hydrofluid, and conduit. You could see Mama's natural arm sticking out of the wreckage, exposed and dwarfed by the remaining arm on the other side. Her blood-soaked natural arm was holding a piece of her shorn armor as a knife. I had no idea why she would take up a makeshift weapon like that. After all, the Tetsubo was useless. Maybe it was just an instinct, a sort of bar fight scenario security blanket to grab whatever was available when exposed. It made her appear disoriented and desperate. Maybe that's why the other paladins discounted her again, or maybe her ability to take one out was so incongruous to their prior experiences that she simply did not register as the cause of the threat. Whatever the reason, they responded by investigating the status of their companion rather than obliterating me and Mama. The female paladin was moving towards the road to provide cover to her remaining teammate, who had gone to look for their fallen compatriot. She was training her weapon on me, but not charging with it. Mama sprung at her from behind, wrapping the remaining Grix arm around the paladin in a menacing embrace. Unlike her fallen compatriot, though, this paladin was not fully unprepared. She adjusted her shields to repel Mama's brute force impact. The Grix is very strong, but the single arm was not enough to crush the paladin through her force shields. It was enough to immobilize her in the effort of remaining three-dimensional. The Grix's metal muscles strained while the paladin struggled to gain freedom and swing her sword. It was a physical stalemate. Then Mama's natural arm appeared and stabbed upward with the makeshift knife. Multiple times. The shard of Grix armor drove underneath the paladin's helmet into the soft flesh of its owner until the golden armor was showered with red. The Grix might lack fine motor control, but Mama's natural arm is very agile and skilled with a knife. Mama threw the lifeless body to the ground and positioned herself between me and the now returning one remaining paladin. With the female's death, communications had come back online. I guess she had been the jamming signal source. Mama appeared on the unit vidcom. Her mohawk was ruffled. Blood smeared across her face. Her canines were exposed. She snarled her command. "All units, converge on my location. Claws out. Bring it all. Nobody scrups my cubs."
Okay, we've officially started. So, first thing we want to do is thank our Patreon backers. Yay! We have two of them. We have Josh.
Sherry loves you too.
And we have Squish.
Squish is a backer?
He's a backer.
Squish, I love you. We miss you.
And
See, I love you, Squish, but only as a friend.
Oh, by the way, if you take a look at the cast page, Squish is the person in a wheelchair doing a handstand. With the chair. The chair is in the fucking air.
I've heard about you. You're mental.
Yes.
We need to cover computer upgrades, hosting fees, and better recording equipment. Even $1 a month will help.
Are you looking for an exciting career that will take you beyond the city's walls? Join the Warzodian Animal Control. It's the humane way to protect the city. learn use of advanced power armors, get a degree in veterinarian medicine, explore the deep forest as a park ranger, and fight the never-ending war versus the dead. Talk to your recruiter today and ask for the 10-year tax exemption plan. We are the proud, skilled, the humane.
This is Lex Longstride, Alpha News. Shortly after the arrest of protesters at Agriculture City, a successful prison break from the central jail took place around 6 p.m. today. Officer Scott Keys was taken into custody under suspicion of aiding the escapees. Officer Keys still claims innocence. Church officials had this to say. It's clear to us this was an inside job, as Officer Keys' pass was the only one used during the breakout. We find his willingness to sin appalling. He will be cleansed of his sins after an investigation.
So, can I roll my streetwise to have a safe house? A safe place for us to go?
We have a bar.
Yeah, but everybody knows we have the bar.
True.
Aw, crap, I know. Try to not land at the base of the prison. Like, let's maybe not land at the base of the prison. So, at this point, we're probably going to the fucking bar because...
But have you installed, like, a secret, like, lair in my bar with your...
No, I've installed security. Whether or not there's a secret lair in your bar, I wouldn't know. If there was one, I gave it security.
I have a
Well, there you
dungeon.
go. Ah! Yes!
I have a secret dungeon that nobody knows about.
Yes, 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 yes.
Is it on your sheet?
It's a dungeon? I don't know. I have survival.
Well, actually, so if I remember our previous conversation, you actually own a ship.
Yeah, here's a shuttle.
It's a system craft, so it can't leave the system.
But it can hide us if we all get away if we need
Now,
to. Jungle.
here is the problem. Your shuttle is in the main city. Now,
So the
there are
culture
many
hub.
ways that, so you guys are in the culture hub, it's in the CBD, where the Starport is.
Sydney.
Now, here is something to be aware of. There is one road that connects between the two cities, because there doesn't need to be more than one road. It does go through some agricultural area. It goes over a very large lake and a lot of wilderness. This skiff that you guys are on can make it across that. However, once you leave the city, it stands out like a sore thumb and can actually be seen from orbit. You know this.
Okay. Well, knowing this, I actually have I have a skill point in survival, so I've obviously been in the jungle, maybe. Or I have a guitar with me that could possibly navigate if she's lost, if there's Nurofin's worked, and she hasn't got a headache anymore, she could possibly meditate in front of where we're going and scope out a possible path for us to take.
That's
that
not
would
how
be...
meditation works.
No, that's how medication works.
But they're very intellectual. They can sit down and navigate. And as I was saying before,
Don't
star
I need
system.
to get that information
Yeah,
from
but
someone? I can't just divine it from
You can
that.
just look at where we're going and sort of like.
But
plot.
that's what we can all do. We have eyes.
No,
Like...
I'm a human that loves sex.
Wait, the human that doesn't love sex, please raise your hand.
There's sex in the other city. Find that.
Listen to your father.
Let me just sniff that out. Yeah. All right, so.
Getting out of a police skiff would probably be a good thing, but hey, I don't know about anyone else, but I'm taking a stun gun, a med kit, an anti-grav pack, and armor with.
That's the
chill out for a sec.
Well, by the way,
pilot,
this brings me to there are two people on another skiff. You're piloting the skiff with us.
Is anyone a member of the faith?
What?
Absolutely not.
Negatory.
Church.
Yeah.
No, Terry and Jerry are not.
No.
Question.
Not our jam.
Where are my characters from?
No.
There was a street preacher that you encountered once.
Did I kill them?
No. After he took out half your clan, street preachers are badass. They're basically the church's special forces. They send.
Think Morgan Freeman, but like as a preacher.
What makes them dangerous is that they're true believers. Now, that does turn against the church every once in a while, but for the most part, these guys get crazy amounts of training.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Firefly true believers.
you're not a fan of the church.
Okay.
Okay, so what I want to do is like, I trust my boys. My dad's. Yeah. I trust my boy. Okay. So I know what's going on. And you said like the piloting the skiffs is like a car. Anyone can really do it. It's sort of a general knowledge thing.
As long as you can reach your pedals.
So what I want to do, since I have someone with a headache.
Someone with a bullet in her back. Well, no, we're still in the city.
I want to land somewhere that's going to have somewhere where we can transport into a vehicle that's going to stand out. Yeah.
He's pretty much looking for the Toyota Camry of this world.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So that's what I'm aiming for to try, and obviously these two are following us.
Multi-story car park.
Yeah. So they're following us. Obviously I'm the pilot. They're going to be following me.
Okay.
Can we communicate with their skiff? I mean,
yes. So, just to let you guys
comlinks.
know, and this is important to know for the rules, you all will have a comlink. Comlink is basically the equivalent of a smartphone during the 90s. So you can send emails, instantly communicate with anyone within the star system. You could not send a message outside of the star system, but if you want to send a text message, you can say, I'll send this person a message, and they'll instantly get it.
Okay.
And we're just
will everybody else will everybody in the star system receive that message though?
No. It is for the most part a private message.
Okay. So we've established that once they've jumped, once they get on there, they win. We've already established like what our comlinks would be, and we can send messages.
But we're also right behind them, so we can also yell at each other.
Can we say for the game that we've already established that once they're on, they've taken over, they will follow me into. Cool.
Yeah.
So this is what I want to do is I want to take us into a secure, I guess, covered area so that we can transfer
Like
into
a parking garage. Or
somewhere to lay low.
To lay low, gather our thoughts, armor, whatever we need to take through this to our journey to my ship and move towards
Except
my
that
ship.
before we do that, can I just point out that there is a dead cop thanks to the octopod on their skiff?
Is he dead?
Why don't we just
Like,
push
kill
him?
him?
No.
He's probably dying.
He is in the process of dying.
Can I stabilize him so he doesn't die?
Or can he kill him so we can cremate him?
Well, which one's more beneficial?
Well, okay. Whichever one you guys decide, I will allow a roll.
Well, I feel like we should stabilize him
Does he have
because it
any
looks like
useful information?
Yeah, I'm gonna stabilize him so he doesn't die. So that's my medicine.
So that
Wait, did we just punch him?
Yeah.
No, there was a shot fired.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah, he would be incapacitated. So your target number is 15.
And I use my medicine, don't I?
Yeah.
Would have been easier to.
Because he rolled like nothing.
Yeah, I do it.
So yeah, he's gonna live. It's just he's gonna probably walk with a neck like this for the rest of his life.
That's
But
fine.
you know, and medical technology is pretty awesome.
Mm.
So you guys are in a parking garage. You've sorted out your stuff. There's various vehicles, groundcraft, various types.
So I look around.
Mm-hmm.
Do I recognize any vehicles that are known for their easily overridden security systems? Oh, so I managed to shut the alarm off and I still managed to get into it.
Yes.
Okay. I managed to, after setting off the car alarm.
You guys are driving to the main road, and what you notice is a very large, I want to call it a mech.
Big mech.
Yeah, a big mech. Basically a tank on feet.
Okay.
Mech warrior?
I never went.
Pacific Rim? See Pacific Rim?
Big robot. This one's about
We're all in this car.
What's that?
We're all in the soccer mom car.
Yeah.
He's in the boot.
Terry's just there like.
This thing can
Is in the boot?
Yeah,
this thing can easily punt the vehicle that you guys are in.
Right. Okay.
It's there. There's some church soldiers that are standing in front, and they're checking cars. What do you guys do?
Okay.
Shit. One of these cars is mine.
Well,
I've got traits to persuasion.
So what I want to do is I want to just keep driving normally. Have they pulled us over?
They're pulling over everyone.
So they're checking.
Sorry, where are we going into again? So it's people from the church checking us as we leave or enter
Yes.
something.
This would be leaving the city for the main road that
And,
connects
so
the
And are there a
what
lot
are
of-
we heading to? Like what's it called?
We're heading
So
to
you're
the
heading
city.
towards the Starport.
Starport. Cool. Okay, cool.
So if we've got him looking like he's restrained, him hiding in the boot,
And I'm camouflaged as well.
me looking like I'm restrained with a wound. You looking like you're restrained. And these three's dressed as cops.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's easy. You've got prisoners.
Well,
We're transporting prisoners to somewhere else.
They've defiled the church's, the treaty that's happened since the church has been here.
Taking prisoners for interrogation?
Yeah.
No, or actually you're taking them to the spaceport for relocation.
So, you drive up.
Yep.
And why are we in a civilian car?
You notice that...
Is there anything that's available?
What will happen to your police car?
Dead.
What?
The battery died.
It was blown up by previous prisoners?
It was blown up.
There was just a firefight and our car got hit.
Yep.
Obviously sirens are going off.
Why didn't you call it in? I'm just thinking like that.
If there was a breakout in the prison, you'd better probably go check that out.
Did one of us take, like,
Oh,
one
the
of
ones
the
we're holding
police...
match their description.
I took police
Comms?
ID and I took police comms.
So, you pull up, and what you see is a church soldier who is going through and checking everything, basically asking for papers, and behind him is a street preacher.
Oh, Jesus.
And the street preacher is basically overseeing everything.
How do you know that guy's a street preacher? Is there
They have a very distinctive coat. They also carry the Book of Light, which is a large metal book. They carry it with them everywhere they go. It is
What, per soldier?
No, street preacher.
the street preacher.
Oh, sorry.
They carry that. This big book that he carries could basically stop anything you guys. It's armored. They do that for a couple reasons. The book they actually carry with them. It provides heat when they're cold. It actually gets cool if it's too hot. It's armored, and when they're preaching from it, it actually weighs nothing and will float in front of them.
Can anybody use it? Or does it
I
have to
want
be a
books
preacher?
like that.
Pretty much has to be a preacher.
Doesn't have a machine gun, rockets, and many pistols in it. I'm not happy.
Does it have knowledge that we want?
It's
useful to sabotage or?
No, it's
could
literally
he slide
literally
hand
their
this
version of the
garbage?
Bible.
No, you can't slide a hand that. No
Could-
way.
Yeah.
You can't?
No way.
No.
No way you can slide a hand that. It's fucking
Yeah.
massive.
Even if they were if the preacher was getting distracted by somebody else, could you?
No.
No,
Don't
he would
touch it,
feel
don't
he
touch
would
it.
feel that's just one of those things that he would rather have you take his guns than his book.
Okay. So, are we in a position far enough away from them that we could sort of, I guess, old mate daddy here, fire off something in the distance so they wouldn't see, like an explosion? Or could we have set up like a bomb?
We need a diversion.
Or
to
something,
get
a
us through.
diversion so they
guys,
really have
guys,
time.
guys.
No.
You guys,
At this
they're a
point-
Trojan horse. You guys need to bluff them. That's what's happening right
We both
now.
have persuasion.
You guys are cops.
Damn it.
Yeah, at
This
this
is up
point,
to you.
We both have persuasion. We just need to.
at this point, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to put you into a role play situation where you have to role play your way through it. All right.
I was about to
No.
say, Terry, this could
Now,
be your
if-
most challenging role yet.
Because right now, if you try to pull
We're
away,
like in a life and death
it's going to be
situation,
like a
prostitute,
big
shit.
flag that
Yeah.
maybe they should stop you.
Try to pull away. Chase us, we're up to no good.
Okay, so you pull up. The church. The churcher speaks with an accent that you've never heard before. So he's obviously not from this planet. He also seems to be straining. Seems to be straining from the gravity. So he's from a lighter planet. So he asks for your papers.
Hand over the ID that I stole from the cop.
So I've slightly handed the ID from my security and passed it across, and we've gone from there.
Because
there you are, sir.
Thank you. Where are you headed?
I'm actually heading to the Starport. I'm transferring a couple of prisoners here. You would have heard there would have been a security break in the prison.
And so, forgive me, but I'm not familiar with this vehicle. Is this a registered vehicle? Because it's not showing up on the list here.
Unfortunately not, no. All vehicles were taken and to disperse all the troops to try and cover all access to the building, and this is all that we've had left. So my apologies, this is not an official vehicle.
Okay, let me, I just need to check this with my with my superior.
No worries. Thank you.
He goes, talks. The street preacher is kind of nervously looking at the forest, and just kind of does a wave thing. Okay, roll persuasion.
I get 4D for this one. Oh, you. 6.
It still wins.
Oh my god!
You got a 4.
Wow.
Oh my god.
And I'm going to give you an extra point of XP for the great role playing you did there. Okay. Yes, that's the other thing is that I reward role playing. So any situation that you can role play your way out without using dice directly, not only am I going to give you bonuses to the dice like I just did, or in this case remove a dice from someone, I'm going to give you XP for it. Where did we leave off?
We just got away from
Fan, there's a jungle and there's a goddamn turbo weasel in my lap,
There
and
is
I'm
a
not
turbo
really sure how
weasel.
it got there.
We actually drove away. I rolled a really good set of dice, and we got away alive from something that was coming out of the forest.
Yeah, and there's a paladin as well, and paladins fuck you up.
Oh yeah, the fucking church Bible street.
I talked my way out of that one.
That's
Yeah.
the one.
Yeah, the street preacher.
Yeah,
Yes.
if the Bible could ever be straight. Yeah.
It's not a Bible.
He had a lot of street
it's
cred.
It's the Book of Illumination.
Yeah, that's an
Oh, can we call the Book of Illumination a boy for short?
It's the bill.
It's my boy.
It's the Book of Illumination. It's the bill.
What you got there? A boy.
Especially since they're this big.
Yeah, it's my boy.
The street preachers,
boy.
It's a boy.
The boys in the
their
house.
their holy
all
books
6 points in this. and
actually
then next time I'm
are in a sling,
Yeah.
and then they hang. They're armored.
They use it as
So
a
how's
weapon
your
too,
boy
don't they?
hanging?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, if they hit you with one, they do a lot of friggin' damage.
So they're really gonna throw the book at you then?
So you
Yes.
get tattoos like my dad's
Quite
got
literally, they can throw the book.
Okay,
across his face.
so the journey from the agricultural city where you guys are at, which unfortunately is where your bar is located,
Yeah.
to the spaceport. Now, the reason why the spaceport city is different because large spacecraft scare the hell out of livestock. That's the reason why they have the agricultural and the spaceport. They try to keep them separate. It's about a 2-day travel on a very long road.
Is there any way to get to the spaceport without going on the main road? Or is there just one road there?
It's one road there. And it's hardly used anymore because of aircraft, because the technology has changed so much in the last a couple hundred years. It's very seldom that there's actually any land craft.
Okay. But that's what you got, man.
What's our universal word for? Sorry, our in-universe word for Christ.
That's right. That's kind of.
Let's go burn. Let's go burn.
Stars.
Stars.
Stars. You want like a human. Or flares.
Flares. Unholy flares.
Solar flares are holy. So.
Yeah, solar flares.
Flares. You want like a human. There you go.
So, you guys are driving, and you hear some sort of sounds like thunder and lightning,
Wait, the sky is clear?
but you're hearing like thunder.
Hearing like thunder. Would I recognize this as a weather system, given that this is my home planet and I might be a bit tied to water-based weather systems, or as not a weather system?
Yes.
Okay.
There is some sort of gunfire. It sounds like heavy weapons.
Heavy weapons.
Oh, well, that's
can
right
I
up my alley.
determine the direction?
Well, that's going to be determined for you. I need the driver to make a roll target number
Who
of
is driving?
10? I'm driving. But I saved us all. We're gonna die, I think.
10. Okay, so what you see?
Yeah, no, he has to edit all of
okay.
that out. And the
Yeah.
two
So what you
episodes
see
take
is
forever.
a land craft. We're talking larger than yours, a military style vehicle that is tumbling towards you.
Is it tumbling towards us, or
No,
just
no,
trying
no.
to overtake
Alright.
us?
No,
It's
tumbling.
tumbling.
Like a tumbling.
Guys,
tumbling.
put your trust in the human.
Oh, we're going to die.
I'll drop on the dice.
Oh, we're not going to die.
15. Yeah.
19.
19.
Okay. We're good. So you dodge as this vehicle, and you can see that it is now falling apart. Even though it was armored, it's not designed to be rolled around like this. And what you're seeing in the background, in the rear view mirror, is power armor fighting. There is one that is clearly church because it is golden. It's
Wait, so you're saying there's mechas in this?
Yes.
Yes.
We just went past one before.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
There's mecha and then there's power armor. So the power armor are smaller personal suits. What you're looking at is one that's golden. It looks more like a knight's armor.
Just for reference sake for the players, think Aliens when she gets into that
power loader.
That power loader. That's about the size we're talking
Oh,
about.
okay.
Rift power armor, not Pacific Rim power
Yes.
armor.
Yeah.
Oh, like a
Pacific
living
Rim
suit.
power armor
Like an
would be a
exosuit
mecha,
rather than a...
and
Avatar,
this
okay.
power armor is more like the
But it's
Aliens
golden.
exosuit.
Yeah.
But it's fully armored and weaponized.
So one looks like a knight's armor, and it's currently fighting with something much larger than it, and what was much larger than it basically threw that vehicle at it, and in the wreckage that is tumbling in front of you, you can see the parts of.
Is it tumbling in front of us or behind us?
Behind us.
It is more of
It's
a
tumbling
way.
in front of us, but we see the
It's diagonally.
And more of a
we see
diagonal.
the fight in the rearview mirror.
Correct.
Right. So it went over the vehicle and then landed in front of us.
So what you're seeing in the parts flying, you see bits of like an arm and a leg of the gold armor.
That's not what you want.
Behind, and this is something that sets everyone going, holy shit, we are definitely out of our league, is when you notice that in the fight, the smaller armor has a force field appear that looks
shit.
like stained glass.
Nice.
That is a church paladin.
That's fucking churchy as hell.
Is there any way to make this vehicle go faster?
Yes.
Do it, please.
Yeah.
Okay, make a roll. I'm not going to tell you the target number, just let me know what you get.
I don't like this jam. Because I've already rolled and I rolled well.
You did, which prevented a collision.
Well,
So which one of those
Ooh,
is...
16. Keep going.
Wait, but there was a 1. What happens with the 1?
Okay,
Oh, I
so
did it. Oh,
which
never
one
mind.
is your...
Which
Which...
is my power die?
Okay, so
the
only...
1 was not on the power die.
Okay, so you only
16,
re-roll
19.
the 6 or the 1s on the power die.
Oh.
So that's the only one that it matters.
Okay, so then the original one was 10.
Still, that's enough to get...
Yeah.
So it doesn't change anything, but... So only the power die or the wild die
Right.
is the one that...
Need to reroll.
It
Or you
re-roll or goes bad.
Right.
So that's the one that goes crazy.
Cool.
Yeah, you guys are speeding off. You think you may have hit some debris, but you're fine. It's not slowing you down. The fight, apparently they're paying attention to each other
He knows how to drive
and not you guys.
That's probably a good thing because otherwise one of them would probably get wrecked.
How big is the really big one? Like 2 stories?
When I say it's about double the size of the other one, so the golden one is about the size of a human. The larger one, which looks Confederate, almost 10 feet tall.
Okay. Metric?
That's about
3 meters.
3.5.
It's about roughly 3
3.4.
feet to a meter. Roughly.
So it's about.
I've played a lot of D&D.
10 feet is a meter's a little longer than 3 feet. So 3, yeah, it'd be about.
So double
3
my
meters.
height.
No, double your height is 4 meters.
Okay.
It's pretty big though.
But still, it's...
The height of the ceiling.
Yeah.
1
And
story?
it looks like it's built to do damage. This particular one is missing an arm. So they've been scrapping for a bit.
What are the Confederates doing here? I thought that, didn't the last news report say that
They were keeping
they
out
weren't
with it,
going to get involved because it was a domestic matter?
Obviously, something's up. We need to get the fuck out
We
of
really don't need to be in the middle of a churchy
No,
Confederate
no, we
land
don't.
grab,
No,
do we?
yeah.
No.
Is it possible for me to figure out what the hell is going on with the exosuit and the...
We are kind of in the middle of it, though, aren't we? Because,
Yeah.
you know, alcohol human.
Her name is Arcady, thank you very much.
And she is drunk.
Well, what's wrong with being
Seems
drunk,
to think
Terry?
we have some sort of a secret mission.
It's not good sex.
Is it possible
Secret
for
stuff,
me
mate.
to figure out if I can find a way to take advantage of the situations with the two robots fighting and disadvantaged?
Like run like hell. They're
You just want to get involved.
yeah, they're in either case, if
I'm trying
one
to send a signal.
if one of them was to even think that you should die, you probably would be.
So,
Especially
So they're
since
just not something to mess with whatsoever.
not something to mess with. Did I
big
mention your
epic
GM's
brawl.
an asshole?
We're running away from the churches, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Jerry.
Jerry.
It's Jerry and with the G, don't you forget. We're on the run from the churches. What if we help out the feds?
how?
Because if we try and
If
fight
we
them,
take down the church here, Confederates gonna
We're
like
a
us.
bunch of fugitives in a car and they're two big fighting
Well,
things. What are you
Let's
supposed
discuss,
to do?
shall we? A, our Prime Minister has said this is a domestic and the church is here by invitation. So B, the feds that are fighting as a violation of international treaties, so they're not going to be in any kind of good stead with the law enforcement, which is now mostly populated by the church. Now, I'm sorry, but I'm a fish, he's an octopus, and you're a lizard, and when did you ever meet a churchy that liked somebody that wasn't a mammal? And do you really think we need to go back to that jail that you just tore off one of your limbs to get out of? And why the hell did you do that to your pinky anyway?
Last I checked, it was you who said we need to get off the planet. I reckon the Confederates could help us.
I reckon the Confederates are only going to stop us. They're going to say we're in the way, or they're going to say they're not supposed to be here. I think our best bet really is to just get to the rocket bed of mammal breeding boy over here and use
Terry.
his ship to get off the planet.
My name's Terry. Thank you, my lady.
How do you assign? I mean, they all look alike. How do you assign the names to the faces? Which one is female again?
The one with the bumps.
Oh, right. Okay.
But whereabouts? The top or the bottom?
Well, see, generally for most of the males, the bump there is quite large, but for Terry, it had to take a little bit more.
Yeah.
Did you operate on it?
I didn't need to.
We're gonna be having a drinking game, good sir, and if I win, you will be enhancing my bump.
Let's do it.
I'm just imagining us having this conversation, these two power armors like rolling in front of us.
I'm driving while this is happening too, by the way.
Yeah.
It's also us, we're in the middle of mortal peril and we're talking about body parts.
Okay.
What's wrong with that?
I'm just going to continue sitting in the back of the truck, shaking my head in disgust.
You're so happy he's going, stuff's blowing up, this is the best.
Aren't you really happy to be a father?
I'm just shaking my head.
Okay, so cool, we're driving.
So you guys have been driving for a while. The vehicle you're seeing is starting to overheat just a little bit.
Drunk.
It's starting to overheat because they're not designed to make long.
Okay,
hungry.
so
For what?
we're starting to overheat. Is that what?
It's starting to overheat. It just needs to cool down. Might be a good time to.
Yeah.
We're in the middle.
No,
Wait.
we've been driving for an hour.
We've been driving for an hour, which means we are in the middle of Warzod's jungle.
Yes.
Are we all
But we're
aware
not
of
in
our
the, you know,
situation
the
with
cities
the
where we're a
radiator?
target.
Yep.
No.
But you
Okay.
regretted not helping that Confederate now.
I am a native.
Yes.
A, do I recognize where we are?
Yes.
Are we anywhere near the pie?
So you're not near the lake.
Okay.
The lake is a couple more hours.
Okay.
Now at the lakes, you do have a pod that's there underwater.
Yeah.
You don't know if they're going to be helpful because they have the same police as.
Well, I know, and I'm actually concerned for reasons about going back to the village at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I do know where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Do I know whether or not this is a good place to stop for a while?
So stopping in the forest is.
It's
always...
never a good idea, you guys.
You don't.
We have guns.
Ah!
Well, you do have those.
But the
Yeah.
Mammals, am I
What
right?
supplies do we have as far as food and
Can
water?
anybody else drive? Can't we
okay.
just take it in shifts? No,
Right.
It's the vehicle.
The vehicle can't
needs to
take
pull
it in
out.
shifts,
See,
unfortunately.
Terry can walk a stick for quite a while, but
Eventually it wears out.
He's like, nah.
I thought our
Just
only
try to do
options
that.
were the forests
And
and the cities because wherever
They
they
are,
are.
that's
search
what I'm
for
saying.
medical
So you're
supplies.
thinking we should push on to
Since
the next
maybe-
city, but I
or
feel
at
like
least-
when we're in the city, we're a
Terry, who are
target.
both injured?
Well, we need to be in the city,
Well,
but,
you would
but
need to roleplay
there's
that
being a
first.
target as humans, and
In
then
order to
there's
get those
being dinner.
bonuses,
You
We've
need
got-
to
we've got
remember
Jerry.
that the only military that Warzod had prior to the church showing up was the military called the National Parks Reserves officers.
Yeah, those
The
guys are
reason they
badass.
had a military was to protect the cities from what lives in the jungle. If we're gonna stop and camp out, here's the thing. Obviously, we need to be off of the main road just in case someone comes through, but we need to be not too far off of it because we are not going into that jungle.
yeah.
So we are camping now.
Yeah. So if just
Did
for a couple
someone
hours
say
to let
s'mores?
be cool. But if we do that, then I think that somebody needs to take a shift up on top of the van
I can do that.
and take shifts to keep an eye out. And
I'll
what
do
you're
it,
keeping
but
an eye out
rotate it
for
through the
is
night.
the wildlife. Because they could kill us a lot faster than anybody coming down that road.
Since you're so concerned about the wildlife, can you tell us what are the main ones to...
Yeah.
the ones that you would know of, there's one referred to as a razor tongue.
That sounds horrible.
That is it's kind of like a overgrown tiger, about the size of a horse. What makes them dangerous is their tenacity. They also have, you know how like most animals don't like the taste of humans? Razor tongues, that's not a problem.
Well,
Yeah,
that
so I
doesn't
don't
affect
really
you
care
guys.
about the razor tongues.
I'm not a
delicious.
human.
There's also, it's almost like a gorilla. They're not really a predator, but they're very territorial. Someone give a name of that. I don't have one.
Silverblade.
Silver.
That's just...
No, you're thinking of a
Seeing your
greyback,
male
I think.
silverback.
Greyback.
You're thinking of
Silverback,
silverback.
yes.
Whatever.
Male gorilla.
Yeah.
Silverblade.
Harambe.
Harambe.
Calm down. Ding? Is that a ding? I don't know if that's common.
No, that's a meme. That's free for all, mate.
That's a meme. It's a pop culture eye.
It's a haramboid.
Yeah.
Haramboid. There we go. Haramboid.
stego.
Okay,
Really?
done, done,
How do
yes,
you spell
done.
that?
Haramboid.
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 Charles is just like seriously saying, far out.
Okay. So tell me how you're setting up the camp.
No, I am not leaving the vehicle.
Not well.
Can we just stay in the vehicle and
Just-
have
is the
people?
vehicle
How
large
big
enough
a-
to stretch out
how big
and
an
have somebody
area
sitting
of-
on top of it?
Well, so there's
Okay.
a decent sized clearing, which is enough to fit the vehicle. If you had tents, you could probably pinch 4 or 5 tents up in the area. There looks like a pile of rocks and some wood.
Do some of these predators live in the trees? Can we go aerial, or will they come down on us from afar?
How far into the forest can we actually see?
It's pretty thick in this area.
So
Yeah, it is.
our vision is maybe the clearing.
About 20 meters max.
Okay, so anything that would be coming at us, we'd want to know is coming.
Yeah.
Why
So-
not?
I was wondering
And the
if we
ones
should
that you-
go
So
on.
we should all camp. I'm going to suggest to everybody that we need
Yes, Grandpa.
to get into the middle of the clearing, split into rosters.
And find something to eat.
Whoever's awake, we fix the car, the other guys rest, and in 4 hours we'll wake up the next shift to do the
Yeah,
next
fair
task.
fine.
We'll all get rested, we'll get out of here as fast as
Yeah,
possible.
agreed.
I'll do the first shift looking at the vehicle,
I
and
wanna-
then my second shift I'm going to be sleeping inside the vehicle.
Well,
Okay.
anyone sleeping should be in the vehicle.
I can keep lookout.
Yeah, anyone sleeping should be in the vehicle.
First couple hours uneventful.
I just want to
It's always the
clarify
third
that
hour that
we
gets-
would.
So
It's an apple.
Yeah.
I need perception rolls.
I can do
Everyone
that.
make a perception roll.
What is it?
What?
Well, are we all up and about at this
Three.
point, or just the people
We're in
who
the
are?
first
deep.
couple. We're still in the first 4 hours, right? So
Yeah.
who was?
If you
who
have
was
a-
on the first
If you have a
watch?
particular skill like notice,
I was working on the car.
I just got 3 sixes.
So
So
I.
do I-
Ah, what are you in that case?
Roll it again. So 18.
Do I roll 3 dice?
20.
20.
yep, 3 dice. So what you guys hear
No, that means you would
is
roll it
something
again.
large,
Again.
basically
Rolling.
walking through the trees.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it for the show today. I am currently working on episode 4. We've already got it recorded. It's almost ready to go. It's not going to be as long as this one. I do apologize. It is a little bit longer than I would like. I try to keep it around an hour, but next episode, it's going to be about 45 minutes to an hour. Okay. See you guys next time. www.jackmonkeygames.com